Hi everyone, this is Dakota, and here's your tip of the week. Hi everyone, as you saw by the title of the video, we're going to be learning how to hit the driver today. So the driver is one of the few clubs in the bag that everybody loves to hit. Everyone likes to hit it far, everybody likes to hit it straight, but it's very hard to combine those two together. So I'm going to be teaching you a couple things that you can use when you're out on the golf course or when you're practicing so you can properly hit the driver better and farther and higher in the air. So there's going to be a couple points that I'm going to be pointing out to you guys. We're going to be starting with the ball position, leading into the swing. We're going to start with the grip as well, and then leading into the actual full swing itself. So we're going to jump right into it. Let's start with the ball position. So starting out with the ball position is super important. As you guys know, with your driver, it is our least lofted club in our bag besides the putter, but I don't see very many people hitting their putter with a full swing. So with the driver, as you guys will notice that there is not a lot of loft to this club. So how are we going to be able to get it up in the air? So the one thing that you need to work on is trying to get that ball position in the best spot as possible. So when I'm setting up to the ball, I want to make sure, because a lot of times when we're setting up with our irons, we always put that ball in the middle of our position. So with this, we want to try and make sure we have that ball position up in our stance. So what I mean by that is on the inside of our left foot. So if I were to draw a line with my driver, it's on the inside of my left foot. Reason why that is because we're trying to catch it on the upswing, okay? We're trying to reduce how much spin we have, but also try to get it to launch higher in the air. If we get it to launch higher in the air without hitting down on the ball, that's going to reduce how much spin we have on the ball. So spin is super important when it comes to hitting a driver because we're hitting it pretty far, but if we hit down on the ball, that produces spin, which means it's gonna rise up in the air. If you're hitting into wind, it's not gonna go very far. But also if it's going left or right, it's gonna curve a lot more. Reducing how much spin you have on the ball is super important. So that's why we're putting it up in our stance and trying to hit up on the ball when we're hitting driver. So that is something that we wanna keep in mind whenever we're hitting. Next thing that we're gonna talk about is we're gonna make sure that our head position and we have that tilt to our body when we're hitting the driver. So what I mean by that is using the tip that we just used, the ball position playing up in our stance around the inside of our left foot, we wanna make sure that we have somewhat of a tilt. So usually whenever we're hitting any iron or wedge, we have our setup to be squared. So our shoulders are parallel to the ground. But in this instance, we are trying to have somewhat of a tilt. So as you see, I'm tilting up in the air. So if I drew a line from shoulder to shoulder, it's going up in the air. This is gonna allow me to keep my head behind the ball. We find a lot of people when we say, all right, so tilt your body, they tend to do this. They put their weight on their right leg. Okay, we don't wanna do that. The reason why that is because then we start to shift our body and sometimes we hit the ground beforehand. When we do that, we want to make sure that we have a little tilt. So I'm not having a lot of weight right here. I'm just tilting my body so that way I'm trying to make sure my head is staying behind the ball and trying to hit up into the air. That's going to reduce how much you hit down on the ball, and it's also going to help you get that ball up in the air a little bit better. Last tip that we're going to talk about is it's going to be kind of a dual tip. We're trying to make sure that our grip is in the correct spot, and then we're going to lead into the full swing. So with the grip, we want to make sure it's just like any other club that we have in the bag. We want to try and make sure all the people that are right-handed, this is for you, Left-handed, if you just reverse what I'm saying, it'll just work out just fine. So when we're setting up, left hand's on top, my right hand is on the very bottom of my left hand, making sure that this V is pointing on the inside of my right shoulder and my collarbone. My left hand is very similar. As you see, it's creating a V and it's pointing in the same exact spot, but on my left shoulder, okay? So that's something important when it comes to your grip, okay? And then next, when we're doing our swing, we want to make sure that we do not have a super wide stance. If we have a wide stance, we tend to see people sway back and forth, and we don't want to do that. So one way to reduce that is bringing our feet semi-close together on, I would say, no wider than shoulder width apart, so that way it reduces how much swaying, okay? So having that ball position on the inside of my left foot, my head, my tilt, and then making sure that my feet are shoulder width apart and my grip is in the correct spot should ensure you with a good drive. The more that you do that, the better off you're going to be hitting the ball. And the more straighter, the less spin. Everything's going to work out with your driver a lot more, okay? Try to reduce how much your feet are, like how far apart they are. Bring them shoulder width apart, the grip, then make sure that ball position is in the correct spot. I ensure that you will make sure that you will hit it far and straight and high as possible. That is all the time that we have for this week. We had a great club championship this weekend. Congrats to Mrs. Lim for winning the ladies division, and we're very excited for next year. If you have any questions, please reach out to the golf shop so that way we can help you out further. I'll see everybody next week.